Everybody, welcome. Oh, actually, why am I on this one? Okay, cool. This is the screen I wanted. Welcome everybody to Purposeful Patriarchs. I'm your host, Eman. And today, going to dive into a clip from the Bread and Butter podcast that I did an episode on before, and again juxtaposing that with my angelou clip from 1968. This is a channel that helps to build healthy families, build family structures, not just for black people but for the wider society, just showing you how things have changed through by using academic studies, research, journals, statistics, the Bible, and also experiences. So without further ado, I will get into today's topic, which I think is really, really fascinating, really, really interesting. Please drop a like, drop a comment, please subscribe if this is of interest to you, and let's get into it. So let me transition to this clip here. So you've heard it before, but yeah, let me wait for it to start again, and then we'll get into the clip. And this again just shows you how the differences in terms of how our women sort of this pattern of women sort of out earning men is a thing that has come has been a pattern amongst black people since slavery. And Maya Angelou talks about this, and it's the same thing that's also over here in the UK. So yeah, let's go into the clip.
To deliver on the traditional women type duties. So you're
okay, let me go back into this clip. So where is it here?
The problem comes when the woman is out earning the man and the woman gets home and is still expected to deliver on the traditional women type duties. So you're like, okay, you're now working really hard to bring all the money. You get home and the house is not clean, the kids are not fed, the homework is not done. Then it's a problem because you now feel like the men have to. If you're home earlier, it's not about money necessarily, it's about fairness.
Yeah.
You don't want to work a whole day and you come home and these things are not done or has not been done by someone.
Yeah.
And so I say someone, you might get some help. Like in Dubai, getting help is standard, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the problem. When I speak to women, they're like, I got home, had a long, stressful day, I paid all the bills, I made all the money, I got home and he's on his computer game. And there's no food. Like that's when it's a problem. So it's just about courtesy, I think. But equally, I don't think, I think a lot of the time men feel undermined. What I hear from the men is that they say women start speaking with more bass in their chest.
You have more energy.
Apparently that's
You
a
have more
problem.
energy, more bass now.
Apparently that's a problem.
Is it not a problem?
It's a problem.
It's not
What
my
do you mean?
problem.
Is it a problem?
It's not a problem.
It might be their problem, not my problem.
It's not your.
The problem comes when the woman is out earning the man and the woman gets home.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so that's a really fun clip. There's so much that we can all unpack from that. And what I'll do is I'll go back to this clip from BGS where we see this scene from Maya Angelou where she comes home from work, and I'll try and see if I can put it back a little bit further. So let's see what Maya Angelou says to us.
Million today. 100 years ago, we were around 3 million. Castrated men do not father children. Now, so we accept that as a lie. However, there is some truth in that lie. And the truth is, the African slaves who were brought here came from systems where the matrilineal descent, patrilineal control, was the custom. African women today choose or choose not to carry their husband's name. If they do, it's usually a Westerner. When the slave owner became aware that there was a maternal kind of control inherent in the slave, he developed it. Of course, this is a part of an intent to break up a family, the family unit, the structure that is really the backbone of not only the nation, but all mankind. The post-slavery, the Reconstruction period, and that period after that, for some 50, 60 years, the black man was not allowed to even get a job. He worked as a sharecropper, or in the most menial, usually agricultural conditions. The black woman, however, became stronger. She sat down in that role that history had cast her in, and that slavery had caricatured her in.
So why this clip is so important is coming from the late and great Maya Angelou, and there's two things that she highlighted before we carry on, was about the breakup of the family and the matrilineal line, this black matriarchy, which is a pattern from slavery, and this is what led to the strong black woman. Okay, so those are the two things, and then this obviously leads to a breakdown in the family structure, and this is why, as I've said on my videos on the Moynihan report, this is essentially what has not been fixed. Okay, and this isn't just 10 or 20 years of history. This is 200 to 300 years, nearly 400 years of history.
So she began to believe that, yes, it's true, I'm so strong. And he also began to believe, they both bought this lie. Now, when we see ourselves today, our young men in the street, sometimes it's not this external pressure. It's simply that these young men will no longer be held in by mother saying, I told you to do it. That's the reason you should do it. Nor can we assuage our men's pain and agony anymore by trying to bring home an extra ham bone from the kitchen we've just left. These are new times. We have to reassess that male-female relationship. It's very important. We are not, in fact, the men of the family. We are still, yes, in an economic bind. That is true. Our men still do not have the freedom to win the bacon and bring it home. We do not have the open avenue. But we must prepare ourselves for the time when we do, while our men are opening the avenue.
Yeah, so this again is the key, and one thing I rate about Maya Angelou on this particular topic is that she's willing to be honest. A lot of the black women that you hear and talk about, hear and see online today, do not talk about this aspect, that because of the dominant society, black men were never in a position to earn and bring home money and be the breadwinner, be the chief breadwinner in the home. And what we're going to see, if I can move it on a little bit, is this particular clip here, where Maya Angelou sort of comes back home. Let's look at this.
Change. Hey, how you doing? I see you ain't cooked. And the house is just as dirty as it was when I left this morning. It feels as a pig pen. I hope you don't think I am supposed to come home, work hard all day, and come home and cook and clean up, too. You can't say anything to me? You can't even pass the time of day? I've been working hard all day. I'm not playing. When I leave here, baby, I go out there and I haul, baby. You can't even pass the time of day, huh?
So yeah, that goes back again to what what Bianca was saying. So Bianca, a black British woman, Again, from that clip that we saw on Instagram, where she's talking about hauling, she's gone out to work, she's made the money, she's paid the bills, and this video, this is from a clip from BGS Ibmore's channel, and he talks, basically his premise is that there's a low level of contempt for black men that comes from black women, and in America I think there is that, but I don't, from a black British context, their level of contempt is not as strong as what it is with black women in America, and this is why I think we're able to get on with black British women a bit better than they do in America, because this is something that has been happening for generations to generations, where a lot of black women do not respect and honor what black men have gone through, and they see this most importantly in his earning capacity, which hasn't been put onto him by himself. Is something that the dominant society has put onto him, and this has caused a split in the black relationship and the black marriage. Hence why this is a topic of discussion still, even after 1968 in 2026.
Sit up there reading the paper, play like you looking for a job. If you're looking for a job, you get a job, baby. Because jobs don't get you. You go out and get a job for real. Don't you feel good? Ain't nothing wrong with you. Look here, I got paid today. I got some money for you. Well, ain't no point in acting like so sedity, baby. I mean, I'm the only one that's making any money. I'm the only one that's bringing any money in this house. So don't act like you on your high horse with me. What you think I am, a machine? You think I'm a horse? You want me to be mama and papa too, is that it? That's it, huh? Well, you got another thought coming. I'm getting sick of it for my part. I just don't know if I can take it any longer. Like it's a drag. Every time I come in, there's no food cooked, the place is filthy. You can't even say anything. Now where you going now? Out in the street, huh? Can't you even pass the time of day with me? What? Baby, what you doing with your suitcase?
You can see that the black man has had enough, and we can see again that in this dialogue you see that this is where black women get that concept of them being both father and mother, because they are the ones out earning, but they are still called to be mothers, and this is rarely discussed by black women, the fact that the system of the dominant society does not want black men to rise so that they can build themselves first and foremost, and then build their families. And let's just finish off this clip, and then I'll show you an excerpt from Moynihan report.
Baby, you're not getting ready to leave me. Baby, don't leave me. You're gonna leave me here with all these kids and all these bills. But go on, I don't care. You ain't no good, no how. I always knew it. You wasn't no good. You ain't no good. You black men ain't no good. Leave me here. Just leave me. I don't care.
Yeah. So this is where that contempt, as I mentioned before, this is where the contempt comes from, because a lot of black women will say that the black men left, which I'll do, and I keep saying this, I'll do many different episodes because this stuff is so tangled, hence why we're going to read now from the Tangle of Pathology, and this is where we begin to break and begin to add these excerpts from the Moynihan report just to show where this stuff came from. Okay, so I'll read this part. Okay, cool. So it talks about here, I think that this section here is so powerful. It was by destroying the Negro family under slavery that white America broke the will of the Negro people. Although that will has reasserted itself over time, it is a resurgence doomed to frustration unless the viability of the Negro family is restored. And the viability is essentially getting black men to be employed, and then obviously to be receiving the right remuneration. Because I talk about unemployment, which is not having jobs, but then there's also underemployment, so that's being paid less than other people from the same line of work. And this is why, when you think about the gender wage gap and stuff like that, nobody talks about it from the concept of black men being consistently underemployed. And then the next section is matriarchy. It says a fundamental fact of Negro American life is the often reversed role of husband and wife. Okay, and I will talk about so the last bit says the matriarchal pattern of so many Negro families reinforces itself over generation. This process begins with education. Okay, and it says for a long while Negro females were better educated than Negro males, and this remains true today for the Negro population as a whole. The part that I'm going to now talk about is this low-level contempt and this sort of adversarial part of the black men and black women relationship. So this is a quote from Whitney Young, okay, where she talks about, so Whitney Young writes, historically in the matriarchal Negro society, mothers made sure that if one of their children had a chance for higher education, the daughter was the one to pursue it. The effect on family functioning and role performance of this historical experience, and they put in brackets economic deprivation, is what you might predict. But as a husband and as a father, the Negro male is made to feel inadequate, not because he is unlovable or unaffectionate, lacks intelligence, or even a grey flannel suit. But in a society that measures a man by the size of his paycheck, he doesn't stand very tall in comparison with his white counterpart. To this situation, he may react with withdrawal, bitterness towards society, aggression within the family and the racial social group, and self-hatred or crime. Or he may escape through a number of avenues that help him to lose himself in fantasy or to compensate for his low status through a variety of exploits. So when you break down this quote, that's exactly what we saw in from Maya Angelou. Okay, so the man felt very inadequate. He looks unlovable, unaffectionate, because of the economic deprivation. So you see this reverse role within the husband and wife relationship, where the wife is the main earner. She's more educated. She's the more main earner, and in the report it goes into greater detail in terms of like the percentages at that time. And then the one thing I love about this quote is this last part here, because even to this day, when black men are spoken about, they're always spoken about with their aggression, both within the family and the racial group. So this is where we see the self-hatred or the crime. So when you talk about all these YNs, these roadmen, these hood N-words and all that sort of stuff, that is where all of this comes from. Okay, it comes from the breaking up of the family, the reversed role of husband and wife, or basically putting females above men when it comes to education. And this is why we need to change this pattern, because if we can educate our boys more, then they will be in a position to earn more, and therefore when they earn more, they can have a wife, whether that's a black wife or a wife from another racial group. They can begin to build families, have that self-esteem, so that they can be the men that the black community needs. And then obviously the wider society, whether that's in America or in Britain, you will have these good, successful men who are able to pay taxes, who are able to buy homes and do different things within society. And then because of the economic deprivation, Whitney Young talks about the fact that the men lose themselves in fantasy. or compensate for his low status through a variety of exploits. And this is why they go into gangs, and they go into they play video games, they'll play football, and they'll do all of these sorts of different things. But I'll just want to finish it off with this last quote by Thomas Pettigrew, and it says, the Negro wife in this situation can easily become disgusted with her financially dependent husband, and her rejection of him further alienates the male from family life. Embittered by the experiences with men, many Negro mothers often act to perpetuate the mother-centered pattern by taking a greater interest in their daughters than their sons. So this is where this low-level contempt and hatred that you see still from social media. This is a clip from 1968. You see Bianca talking about it today in 2026 from a clip that was from the Bread and Butter podcast. So shout out to them, and shout out to Whitney and her partner that were on the episode. But yeah, you still see this, and I think in Black Britain we don't have as strong a tie to slavery, but we do have a stronger tie to colonialism, and we are still in the white European power structure, and these things are levied against minorities, and they know the effect that it has on the family structure, the breaking up of the black relationship. And this is where the gender war comes from between black men and black women, and why we still have the same discussions even over 60 years on from something like the Moynihan report. So yeah, I'll leave it there. I don't want the video to be too long, but I think this kind of shows you exactly where things come from, why it's still so important, and why we need to try and take heart to actually build stronger relationships. But it comes down to our women knowing these facts, knowing these truths, and actually changing it, and actually lobbying for black men to get more education, and then in the next generation we will see better black men who can therefore become not just men, but also they can be husbands, and then they can be fathers, and that will change the trajectory of the black community. So thanks. I'm your host Eman. Please like, share, subscribe. Please comment. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And let me know what your thoughts are. God bless.